So this is the point of the show where Veronica is going to give her message to you and the world. Hold on.
We understand that the culture, the planet, is in rather holiday mode. It is the end of the year. It is the usual time for reflection, and it is a usual time to decide, okay, this is what I'm going to do better next year. We think that all of you should take that time of reflection and decide not what to do linearly, but decide what you're going to do soulfully in your coming future time frame. Decide that whatever happened last year is in the past. If it was good, you put it in your pocket and say, I'm going to save this nice energy for when I need it. If it didn't go well, you say, I'm going to leave this energy here in this particular time frame, in this year, so that I can move freshly into the new year and not be encumbered by any sort of negativity that may have occurred with or without my input. Sometimes things happen and you don't have the input and you're just kind of stuck in the middle of this tidal wave and you go, oh my God, what do I do now? Leave it all behind. Whatever happened has happened. It can't be changed, but you can change how you feel about it. And you can change how you look at it. And you can say to yourself, okay, that wasn't so great. But moving into my new year, I'm going to embrace my soul. I'm going to embrace the magnificent energy that I know I am. I'm going to get in line with my purpose. I'm going to get in line with who I am as a soul and begin the year freshly. That is a good combination of eternal perspective and linear perspective, all rolled into one. And that's how all of you should live every single day, not to mention your, quote, new year.
Thank you, Veronica. And what I wrote down as a topic was action versus reaction. So, Veronica, talk a little bit about the benefits of action versus reaction.
Well, when you react, you are into someone else's energy and not your own. It is much better to act within your own energy because then it is your own energy. And reacting can often be emotional. It can often be irrational. And it can often be way off center from what's really going on. So it's important to stabilize yourself, put both feet on the ground, and act through your life. Reacting is sort of secondhand energy because you're reacting to someone else's energy. So decide every day that, okay, that person's going to throw some energy at me, but I'm not going to react to it. I'm going to think about it and then act, own inner core perceptions, and perhaps the outcome will be different. Reacting gives power to everyone else. Acting gives power to yourself.
Thank you, Veronica. I mentioned earlier in another episode that one of the reasons I was coming here, I was told, was to learn to give and receive emotions more freely. Being kind of like the poker-faced intellectual. I struggled with that. And I see that I wrote down something somebody said, probably you, Veronica, said, emotions are a wild card. So can you talk a little bit about emotions? And there's, after knowing me, I got this intellect, emotional barrier, and how both of those can work together to the benefit.
Well, there are the two perspectives. There are those who are extremely intellectual. There are those who are extremely emotional. There are those who blend the two things together. And the intellectual people, although they're, brilliant in most ways, some of them don't have the slightest clue about how emotion works. And then there are extremely emotional people who get so caught up in the harshness of it that they can't think straight. They can't have an intellectual moment because they're too busy being emotional. The two things weren't meant to be so separate. They were meant to work together, hand in hand. So if you find yourself being extremely intellectual poker face, you need to decide to at least explore and consider an emotional perspective. And if you can't muster it up yourself, Find someone who is emotional and have conversation, or have some dramatic interactions where you can observe and assess how the emotion works so you have a better understanding of it. If you're extremely emotional, it's important to govern that within yourself as much as you can by bringing in some intellectual concepts to define what the emotion's all about. Now, we realize these are a bit broad, but we are on a radio show where we can't really do it individualistically as it needs to be done. But we are giving you some basic tools to at least think about.
Thank you, Veronica. And my list, and there's one thing I wrote here, and it was just, the topic was the path to joy. So if somebody wants to get on the path to joy, what do you have to say about that?
The joy does not include self-pity, self-absorption, or self-denial. The path to joy has to be open. It has to be without conditions. And it has to include a decision not to dwell on the negative. That even if you're presented in the negative and you're up to your chin in the negative, you have to extract yourself from it and find the path that leads to your joy. We realize that's a tall order, and most are floundering about just trying to put one foot in front of the other. But we'd say every day decide that you're going to be happy and find one thing that makes you smile. Tall order, again, we realize, but it is important to do. You can dwell in negativity easily. Why not try to dwell in joy instead?
If you want more information about April Crawford or how to contact for in-person conversations, check out Amazon.com, search April Crawford, or just go to aprilcrawford.com. This is a live broadcast, by the way. And I have to hang up now because in 10 minutes we have somebody calling for a personal session with Veronica. Adieu, and we can't wait to hear from you next time.